I call to order the Plan Commission meeting of June 27, 2017. We'll proceed with roll call.
Ms. Lazaris?
Here.
Mr. Person?
Here.
Mr. Bagnuson?
Here.
Mr. Schumacher?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
The next item, item number 3, correction and/or approval of the minutes of May 23, 2017.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 23rd, 2017.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of May 23rd. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, then we'll proceed with the roll call vote on that.
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Magnuson?
Aye.
Mr. Schumacher?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Ms. Lazaris?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Next is item number 4, questions and public comment. The public may address the commission at this time regarding items on the agenda unless the item is the subject of a public hearing. If your comments pertain to a public hearing, please hold your comments until the hearing. We do have one public hearing this evening. It's item number 5, request by Robert Mangan for rezoning parcels on Brewster Drive, north of Tyrena Road, from R2 6 family residential and R14 single family to R3 multifamily with planned development district. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the commission on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments limited to 3 minutes. State your name and address when starting your comments and fill out the sign-in sheet at the podium. Are there any public comments at this time? All right. Let the record show that no one came forward under item 4. We then go on to item number 5. Public hearing, zoning amendment request, Robert Mangan for the purpose of changing the zoning from 2-family residential and single-family residential to multifamily residential with planned development district on Brewster Drive at parcels 246-0714-0732-000 and 246-0714-0731-000. To begin this public hearing, I'd like to start first with an overview of the rezoning request by consulting planner Mark Sauer from Eden Hunt. So go ahead, Mark, and you can do the overview of the request.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So previously, the city reviewed and approved a request for a precise implementation plan on this site, a CSM and zoning amendment from the petitioner. The amendment rezoned portions of the site, generally agricultural, to residential with planned development. That being residential 1, single family, residential 2, and R3 with PDD. Generally, the portion of the site to the west required further environmental study. Once that was done, it was determined because of environmental features, particularly wetlands, some of the land is unbuildable. Thus, the request now because it's unbuildable, it doesn't make a lot of sense to leave it in the zoning that it was previously changed to. The request now is to change a portion of the parcels from R28, generally make everything R312 to be consistent across the board. The parcel to the south, which is generally to the south, which fronts along County Highway B, or V, excuse me, will remain R1. That'll be single-family residential into the future. But generally, everything up to the north, which does then front along the interstate, will be R3 PDD.
All right. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sauer.
I have a question.
Yeah, well,
Not our turn.
does someone say they had a question?
I did.
Okay. We'll maybe wait till item number
Okay.
6, if that's all right. Okay. Because then you can, if you have one from Mr. Sauer, you could, or Mr. Mangan, who is here. All right. All right, the Plan Commission motion that is prepared, I'll review that. It's motion 1761, recommendation to City Council for Mangan zoning amendment. The motion sets forth the city zoning authority under Wisconsin state statutes that there are certain requirements for rezoning in the city zoning code, the request for rezoning, and the review by city staff and consultants, tonight's public hearing and Plan Commission review. Now, motion 1761 does two things. It recommends that the City Council amend the zoning map as requested and states that procedural provisions for the amendment set forth in City Code have been met. So that's a review of the motion. At this time, the public hearing is open. If anyone wishes to speak to this rezoning request, Mr. Mangan, if you would like to say a few words yourself, you certainly may. And there I see people here who may also wish to speak.
Maybe it would be appropriate if they spoke first, and then I'll be able to answer some of those
Of course.
concerns maybe.
All right. All right, the public hearing is open. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the lectern and sign in your name and address, and also say your name and address for the clerk. Would anyone like to give comment at this time?
Hi, I'm Tim Collada from 720 Brewster, and I just have several questions actually. Is there a comprehensive plan, and has it been amended to reflect the zoning? Can anyone answer that?
There is a comprehensive plan. I believe it has, well, the previous rezone reflects what the comprehensive plan says.
But does it reflect the new plan?
Well, not at this point. This hasn't, we're at the Plan Commission level right now.
Okay.
As this progresses, if it progresses, the Plan Commission will give a recommendation to the City Council. At that point, if the City Council chooses to pass the requested amendment, then the comprehensive plan would be amended.
Will we be notified then when that happens?
After this hearing, if this progresses, it will be on the agenda for City Council, and it will be subject to public hearing at that point.
Okay. Looking at the map, looks like the only inlet and outlet is through Brewster. Is that correct? At this time?
Yes.
Maybe, since the developer is here, maybe he can take that question and answer it when he chooses to speak.
Okay.
And having gone through this before with this same property, it wasn't just a recommendation, it was a requirement to have a second outlet there for fire and emergency vehicles, so there will be two outlets
At
into
this
that.
time, do you know where that's at, or is there?
It's supposed to be down by where the police...
Liquor store?
Yeah,
On
liquor
that
store,
end?
police,
Basically
fire.
farther east on County
Will that
Avenue.
be part of the process right away, or are they gonna wait and do
It's
that when they
supposed to
develop
be, it's supposed to be right away.
Okay. Is our school district at capacity? Does anyone know that? The
Go to the
expansion,
school. Have to go to the school district.
I'm just wondering, apparently we're putting apartment buildings in there, correct? Can the school even handle that much population growth? I guess you can't. I guess that's my next question is, does Lake Mills need that type of housing,
It does.
versus single family? I don't know, we just built here a year ago, and we searched all over the place to try to find a house to purchase, and I think there's more of a demand for single and double family than apartment buildings in Lake Mills, you know, and that's a big concern of mine with my property value, you know, and, you know, the traffic alone. But I just feel that there's more demand for single family. How many units are you proposing in apartments?
144.
144? Be consistent of how many buildings?
I don't remember.
Are you going to cut the hill on the north end of Brewster?
You're asking me technical questions,
Oh.
but I can only answer certain questions.
Well, I've just got a concern, there's been runoff issues there before, and they put retaining wall and stuff up there. By cutting that hill, is it going to create an issue for my property is what I'm concerned about.
I'm sure that the city will address that and make us make provisions for that.
Okay. I guess that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Would anyone else like to give comments at this time? And please state your name and address when you arrive at the lectern.
My name is Jay Ludeman. Live at W7176 County Highway V. We own two pieces of property right along County Highway V in front of this property. The first question I have is regarding to that road going by the liquor store. Our understanding as people that live in Aztalan Township is that that is a township road. And strongly wonder how the city can give permission to build this type of facilities back behind there when you don't own the road that you're talking about, your second access.
Yeah, that's where intergovernmental, what do we call them?
Agreement.
Agreements come into play, so that there's work between the governments behind the scene to make that happen.
I see. So backdoor.
No backdoor.
Okay,
It's
so that we can-
agreements that are made between city to city so that they can work together and make things happen that need to happen for the good of the city and the people.
Realizing that we are not citizens of the city of Lake Mills.
It's both cities.
You know, this
That's
is-
why they do it as intergovernmental.
Okay.
So it's both cities talking and making the best decision.
Okay, because, you know, that's something that obviously as citizens of the Aztalan Township and being affected by
Sure.
this, we would probably be very much against it. My own personal understanding was that road was supposed to be platted as a cul-de-sac years ago. Now I realize that the other two, at least the other house hasn't been built there. But, you know, for many years, that was the understanding that that was going to be a cul-de-sac and was just being used to service the two houses that were there and allow the farmer access to that field. The second question, obviously, is what is the need in the Lake Mills area to put, you said 114 apartments? 144 apartments north of County Highway B, east of the creek. You have plenty of room south of County Highway B where it is already existing area that has quite a few apartments already and much more room to grow without putting all this pressure in a very small area with very limited access to it. Obviously, as a single-family homeowner in that area, we are not at all excited about seeing 144 units going into our backyards. Even, you know, without a specific plan showing us exactly where that would be and what type of people that, or what type of housing that would be. You know, I mean, it's one thing to say 144 units if it's 144 units of low-income housing versus 144 units of senior citizens. That makes it quite a big difference to us as well.
Just one thing to note on that zoning back there for the apartments, that's already been approved. All he's doing is asking to change some single stuff back there. So even if we didn't go through this today and do this, he could build back there at any time on the areas that are already zoned for him.
Okay.
Just so you're aware of that.
The last time that a meeting was held for this, it was canceled. We have not been made aware of any other zoning. We were under the impression that that was still R1, R2 back
No,
there.
it's already been changed.
And when was that done?
Last year,
What date?
I don't remember.
Okay. And why were we not informed?
I can't answer why you weren't informed, but I can tell you that it's not the government's responsibility to inform every single person when a zoning is changed, except to go to the newspaper and the legal posted places. So I'm sure that's what happened. It was posted in the legal places that it's supposed to be posted, this building here, the library, and in the newspaper.
So our only resort, basically, what you're telling us is to go very strongly at the township and ask someone to deny access through that road.
Oh, you can.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you can. You have that right.
okay. I'm just, trying to...
No,
like I
I
said,
understand.
none of us
And
knew.
I'm
None
glad
of
you're
us
here
along that
asking
road.
these questions.
Right, so...
Isn't that in the city, though, the second roadway?
And it may be already.
It
And
is.
If it isn't,
If you go to the map here on,
yeah, and if it isn't, they
It is in
may
the
have already
city.
or had plans to annex it.
And how is that legal to create us as an island? Rather, you're cutting us off from the rest of the township without our permission.
there are many town islands already, even town Lake Mills has an island.
Yeah,
It's not,
there's
it's
a big
not,
one called the BP. It's an island right in the middle of the city. That's township, and that's right in the middle.
Okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ludeman. Would anyone else like to comment about this requested rezoning?
Hi, I'm Pauline Held. I live at W7148 County Road B, just 2 houses east of Jay. And I just would like to reiterate everything that Jay just said. It's very, it's very upsetting to move into a house that my husband and I love, and I know that now there's going to be potentially 144 apartment complexes just in our backyard for the benefit of really just one person when all of us are going to be affected by it. And I'm a little upset too, the fact that we haven't been notified of the zoning changes and been able to voice our opinion sooner, because we were all here before when the original meeting was canceled. And I also have concerns too, building on the north end of Lake Mills. County Highway B right now is 35 miles an hour. We live across the street from a park that is busy all of the time, and people will go 45 miles an hour through there right now. At what point are we going to look at the town, and are we really going to sacrifice the quality of Lake Mills to just get more buildings there? If it's single-family homes, that's something different. There's more community involved there, but if this is just people that are renting, the town has no meaning to those people, the majority of them. So I just would like to say I agree with everything that Jay said, and I wish this was a different outcome than what it looks like it's going to be.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else like to offer comments concerning this proposed rezoning?
Dawn Foret, 7184 County Highway B. I just would like to know also, those of us that have the properties between those 2 roads, in what way would we ever be forced to become part of the city?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it can
I guess
force-
from,
Well,
and that's
an
something
annexation
totally-
process could occur if there was the necessity for like utilities on your location. The city can't force you to be annexed into the city at this point.
So would it be a vote of all of us that are in between there?
Oh, it could be on a per parcel basis, an individual homeowner or parcel owner that desires water service from the city of Lake Mills, or some utility service that they're not currently receiving, or there's some other reason that they choose to annex into the city of Lake Mills. At that point, we could undertake a process to annex into the city of Lake Mills that particular parcel. That is not contemplated at this point in this process. This is specifically regarding changing zoning for parcels that are individually owned and that there's development planned for. So the city can't force you to become residents of the city as opposed to the town of Asselin or the town of Lake Mills with regard to the parcels there at this point.
Okay. If we ever needed a different well, could you then?
Under an intergovernmental agreement, potentially, if your well was to dry up now and there was some prohibition in the way that would no longer allow you to drill a new well, and city services, specifically water, was available at that parcel at that time, at that point, we could probably compel, from the city standpoint, that parcel owner to change to a city resident.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's a great question, and we can run hypotheticals on that, like, literally all day. It's a pertinent question, so.
Okay. And again, I know Lake Mills is a very popular school district, so you are adding a lot more to an already full school.
Thank you.
My name is Gene Burrell. I live at W7162, County V. One of my main concerns would be that road that is there by the liquor store, as to that being turned over to being a city street. I'd rather see it stay as a county or as a township road than it being a city road, for a simple reason. Then you're creating an island and creating all kinds of habits for the residents along there and everything. And I kind of agree with everything else everybody else has said about that too. My biggest concern is as long as that road doesn't become part of the city. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burrow. The public hearing is still open. Would anyone else like to comment on the requested rezoning? Mr. Mangan, would you like to, if some questions have come up.
My name is Robert Mangan. I am the developer. The first question that I would like to address is the value of the property values. I could give you names of different communities where we've done developments, and in actuality, the surrounding properties have their values have been enhanced. The second thing is that most of our residents are either baby boomers or millennials, professional millennials that they have good jobs. Maybe one works in Milwaukee and the other one works in Madison or something like that. And not that we discourage children, but there's very few children in our developments, okay? Because, basically, the amenities that we provide, with, granite countertops in some of the units and having a community room where they can have a party and, not only attached garages, but detached garages so that there's no boats or motorcycles or those types of things. We're very strict and tough with our management, and that I can't remember any other questions that really needed to be addressed, but as far as the traffic goes, we have the Brewster Drive, and then we have the liquor store entrance, and that it provides ingress and egress to the property. So, if anybody else has any questions or something that I missed, I'll be glad to answer it.
There might be some questions under the Plan Commission discussion, so we may have more questions for you later.
Okay, that would be fine.
Okay.
And I guess I do have a question. That it's my understanding that in order to provide a objection, that you have to be a resident of the city of Lake Mills, right?
That's not the case. The people who have appeared were notified because they lived
adjacent to the property.
Yeah, because they live close to your property. So whether or not resident, if you have a property interest, then you can comment. So
Sure.
The residency is of no import as to the ability to comment and ask questions.
Okay, fair enough. And I would provide any of these, people that have concerns, other locations where we do developments, and they're very, very happy with us, the communities. So, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mangan. All right, the public hearing is still open. Would anyone else like to give comment on the proposed rezoning? Yeah, if you would like to comment, then please come up to the podium. And again, remind us to your name and address.
I'm Tim Collada again. I am 720 Brewster. And I guess I'm the only one that lives on Brewster that's going to be affected. I guess I wouldn't have built there 6 months ago if I knew there was apartment buildings going in behind me. I moved from northeastern Wisconsin to come down here, and that's the last thing I wanted was to have apartments next to me. I could have bought any lot in town. I like that area. When I researched it, it was residential 1 and 2. I don't know when the change happened, but or it's going to happen. But I moved 3.5 hours to come here, and I don't know, I'm a little upset. I probably will sell my property and move somewhere else. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, the public hearing is still open. Would anyone else like to comment on the proposed rezoning request? Is there anyone else who would like to comment on the proposed rezoning request before the public hearing is closed? Okay. In that case, I'm going to close the public hearing. We'll go on with item number 6, which is discussion recommendation on zoning amendment request, Robert Mangan, for the purpose of changing the zoning from two-family residential R26 and single-family residential R14 to multiple family residential R3 with planned development district on Brewster Drive at parcels 246-0714, 0732-000, and 246-0714, 0731-000. We are in discussion at this time. Plan Commission, you have the report, the prepared motion. Do you have, and you have the application and the memo from the consulting planner. Do you have any questions, comments about the proposed rezoning?
I got one question. The parcels you're referencing here in our certified survey map, those are Lot 1, Lot 2, and Outlot 1, is that correct? And not
Parcels in
the,
reference here, yeah, that'll be rezoned are part of Lot 1. It's a small, I guess, remnant, for lack of a better term, and then, and part of the outlot.
it's not, it's not,
on the camera?
yeah, show us which ones were, which tax parcels we were referring to here?
So the areas in question here are this triangle piece, this tiny triangle piece here, and then this piece of outlot.
That's the only areas we're talking
So
about
those are the
tonight?
areas we're talking about. So previously, everything else was approved. So, you know, I understand the concerns that we were voiced here today. Certainly, they make sense and they're valid, but this previous rezoning was done before November of 2015. The area, future land use map called for residential in this area. Approximately half of the total area is still reserved for single-family housing, which buffers the existing single-family housing, whether in the town or in the city. The multifamily is really, you know, seen by staff as kind of a good buffer between the interstate and the proposed single-family housing. So, really, again, tonight we're really just talking about these tiny little pieces that are left over as R2-8 and just making them consistent with the surrounding parcels, which are R3 PDD, R3-12 PDD.
Okay.
I remember when we did this back in 15, when we put that together, that was left residential, like you said, for the buffer to the apartment buildings to County V. That was a big deal back then, I remember.
I think it still is going to be a big deal, no matter which way it goes here, when it goes to the council. I know the council's thoughts on this. So,
For a point, the second entrance, did I read the city's map correctly? That is in the city, that is in the city's boundaries.
Right, that was done, I believe, previously as well. Yep. So the single family. Yep. I can show you here the single family lots that are part of the approved CSM. This second entrance on County Highway V, I believe.
That's part of the city, isn't that correct?
it is
Correct.
now already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To go back to the three small areas, for Area 3 listed in the map, it looks like that's just south of Outlot 1, which was designated R1. Is there a reason for the square going south into the R1 area being designated for the R3-12 multifamily? Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, you are. I believe that area was reserved for.
Did we see that on the map?
Yeah. The slide is referencing is that. Correct?
Correct.
And the one to the left of it up there, too.
Yep. And Area 3, I believe, is surrounded by single-family residential, right? And then it's just surrounded to the north and Outlot 1 by the multi-family complexes.
Correct. I believe that area is where the future road would go through. Yeah.
So that'd be the road that leads down to, by the liquor store?
Correct. Going back to the CSM would be this area.
That's the area right there.
Yeah, gotcha.
Is there a rationale for rezoning a road for any tax reasons or building rationale outside of being residential? Does it harbor continuity in the plan or anything? Or I guess I don't understand that rationale. The other one makes sense.
That's a good question. Really, it's part of, that area is part of the future roadway easement, which will be part of the multifamily area. Again, talking about this spot, this sort of square. So if you envision the road potentially come up through there, really it's part of the multifamily area, so that's why it's, you know, being converted to that. I mean, really, I think this area is, that specific area is one of the two main entrances into the multifamily area. It gives the developer basically control of what the entrance looks like. They're, you know, they'd be able to, as it ties into the public road, which wraps around here, you know, they're able to put in a larger, potentially, entrance through here, as opposed to it starting, you know, back behind.
So signage on either side or planters?
Potentially landscaping, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Plan commissioners, are there any?
I have a question. On these two particular parcels, how many buildings are you expecting, or are you thinking about building?
Well, it's going to be built in phases. And we certainly don't want to build ourselves to poverty. So what we do is we probably section it off so that we would build 48 units initially. And then as they fill out, we believe that the second phase is when we build our clubhouse. And then we continue with the second phase as we fill out. So
Have we started anything up on that property so far?
no, we have not.
No, since 1915, we haven't started anything.
So that we got, approval for the whole parcel, because it makes sense to, logistically, when the earth movers come, that they can do the whole thing all at once rather than, bring their equipment back at some later date.
No. I understand that. Is there any particular reason that we should know about that? Nothing has been done since we rezoned this several years ago?
Is there some reason why what?
Nothing's been started up there after we did. We went through this whole fight 5 years ago or whatever it was, 4 years ago.
It was the impact fees.
Okay,
You know, the impact fees, I mean, you know, we go to Sheboygan and they're zero. You go to Coquitlam and they're $200. You know, here it was $4,500. Well, now that is all rolled back and it makes economic sense. I mean, it has to make economic sense, you know, for me and also, you know, for you.
okay, understand. Thank you.
Just curious, how many units per building were you planning on? I
Well,
forgot.
there's some 16 families and there's some 8 families. And the reason that site has a lot of elevations and to build a 16-family, you know, where there's a big drop-off or a hill, you know, it doesn't make sense. So we had to shrink the size of the building on some of the locations on the property.
Plan Commissioners, does anyone
And
have
so the
any
only
more?
reason that we're revisiting this is because of the effect, or the outcome of the environmental study and loss of building area for,
We're really talking about 3 little parcels there.
yeah, but are they little? Are they really little?
Well, it looks like, 2 are
How many acres?
cleaning things up, and then the third one is, there's more to it. Are there any questions, Plan Commissioners, on?
I'm just kinda curious, how many
on what is
acres?
being proposed for zoning?
Less than 5?
Yeah, area 1 is 4.52 acres, area 2 is 0.01, and area 3, the roadway is 0.28 acres.
Okay.
So you might only lose a handful of single-family houses.
If I have this correctly, the area 1, the 4.52 acres, everything to the left of that is unbuildable, so it appears that triangle wouldn't be able to sustain many, if any, residential houses. So it's just squaring off that lot.
Gotcha, okay.
That's the wrong spot.
Mr. Sauer, could you put on the screen the areas, and point out the areas proposed again for the rezoning? And then talk about each one of those.
So the areas are, what's shown here in blue, which was area 1 on the staff report graphic. Area 2 is this very small triangle here, and then area 3 is this spot.
All right.
What's the significance of the red areas?
That's wetland.
Showing the previous rezone on that one. That one went from
So that's all R2 single family.
R2, yeah.
Yeah, that's one
Which-
too.
My understanding is that's unbuildable now.
Yeah, and
The significant part is,
again, the CSM, which shows wetland area. So the remnant piece of area 1 here, in effect, I think one of the original proposed layout to use that corner for R2. Once they found out, obviously, that wasn't buildable, things changed in terms of design, so that was just a leftover. And that's why it's now just converted to R312 PDD to match the other surrounding parcels. Because it wouldn't be
Okay.
used.
I don't know what to say about this, but I remember that we had quite a battle back then on keeping that residential buffer up
Yeah.
to the larger apartments. And the people on the commission at that time, we discussed about what percentage of apartment buildings do you want, apartment dwellers do you want, as opposed to people with basements under their house with roots. Not saying apartment dwellers are, but they're transient. They can pick up and leave at any time when their lease is up. But in the meantime, they vote. And their politics stay behind when they leave. And the people with, lack of a better word, roots with basements under their houses are here to carry on. Now, we understand that the younger people don't particularly care for houses. They don't want the work involved. So there's a need for the apartments up there.
Yeah.
But we went through this. I remember we didn't fight, but there was pretty good arguments back and forth about keeping that residential buffer to County V and keeping the apartments back up the hill, if you will. I'm not saying pro or con, just remembering what we did back then.
And I think the biggest issue I have out of this whole thing is we're losing a lot of single-family or two-family residential type stuff because of the wetland area. But that doesn't factor into any of the stuff that they're requesting today for a change. I see the changes that they're requesting would be very minimal in the grand scheme of things. Nothing is really going to be buildable. I don't think they're going to be able to put an apartment on that 4.5 acres. They might be able to, but, and then the other one's a road, so we know that's not going to be an apartment. So the only real section I see that we could really have any disagreement on really is that one sort of triangle section up there that's adjacent to the wetland area. So I mean, if there was thoughts of using that to put a whole nother apartment building on there, then that may be something that we really need to sit and think about. And then there's also the fact that it would be backed right up into a wetland. So that is a buffer also for us. It's not the buffer that we wanted or expected because we were hoping to have more single families build in there, but that's the hand we're dealt right now. So I don't know if anybody has any other comments or thoughts on that 4.5 acre section. Because I don't think this has to be an all or nothing, does it? Can it be some rezoned and others not, or do we have to take it all as one and then
You
come
could,
back?
the motion that's before you right now, you could amend freely.
Yeah.
That would be your prerogative.
Okay.
And what you choose to present to the council.
Right.
Ultimately, we're just making a recommendation today.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Foster, did you want to, did you have a recommendation that would be different? Do you have something else that you would want to see take place with this rezoning request?
The only recommendation that I would potentially put out there is the possibility of not rezoning that one area next to the wetland and let the others be rezoned. Not quite ready to do that yet. I'd like to hear from the rest of you folks and see what your thoughts are before we move forward with that, if anybody else has any other ideas on it.
Commissioners, what do you think about that?
So, well, I guess we can put it out there as an amendment and vote on it and see what everybody thinks. That'd probably be the easiest way. If that will work for you, I can make that as an amendment that we only rezone those 2 parcels and not the 3rd parcel.
So the amendment would be vote on each section?
It would be to vote on
Or
changing the Area 1,
and then area 2?
or leaving Area 1, whatever it is, the zoning it is right now, and then allowing the rezone on the other 2 sections.
There's a motion to amend this motion 1761 for the rezoning to only affect the 2 smaller parcels. Is there a second to this motion to amend?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend this such that the rezoning would be for the 2 smaller parcels and not the larger one. Is there any discussion on this motion to amend? Hearing no discussion, then we'll go ahead on the motion to amend with a roll call vote.
Mr. Magnuson?
Aye.
Sorry.
Mr. Schumacher?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Ms. Lazaris?
Aye.
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. You now have an amended motion that would only affect the 2 smaller parcels. Does anyone want to make a motion concerning that?
I will make that motion.
All right. Is there a second to the motion for the updated motion 1761?
I'll second it.
So moved and seconded to pass motion 1761 as amended for only the 2 small parcels, not the larger one. Is there any further discussion?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this revised motion? If there's no further discussion, then we'll proceed with the roll call vote.
Mr. Schumacher?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Ms. Lazaris?
Aye.
Mr. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Magnuson?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Well, in that case, we go on with item number 7, discussion on accessory building and zoning. And this is an item that Mr. Homan brought up, and he was not able to attend this evening, so we'll continue that to the next agenda. Item number 8 is recommendations for future agendas. Is there anything that we should know about at this time? Or any recommendations coming forward? Okay. All right, in that case, then we'll go on with item number 9, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The meeting is adjourned.